We are recording.
Okay, so my name is John Vile, and with me here is Robin Lee. I'm the Dean of the Honors College, and Robin is going to be accompanying us on the trip that you're here to learn about. Most of you probably know that in 2026, we will be celebrating the semi-quincentennial, namely the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, Revolutionary War. And we decided in looking at the calendar that going in 2025 might be easier than trying to do a trip in 2026. Our feeling is that every elementary school in uh, Pennsylvania will probably travel to Independence Hall, and that this might be a good time to do it. So we're scheduling an event for spring break of 2025. We've done this before, but we've changed the itinerary. Last time we did the trip, we took basically a 10-hour bus trip to Virginia and then went to sites in Virginia, then to DC and left from DC. We left coming back on a bus, and we found that essentially that wasted 2 days. And everybody sort of got there grumpy and left grumpy. And so what we've decided to do this time is take a plane to Philadelphia. I'm hoping this is going to be on one of the slides that we have, but basically we're going to spend 2 days or so in Philadelphia. Then we'll spend 2 days in Washington, D.C., 2 or 3 days, and then we'll end up in some historic sites in Virginia. And I guess with that, Robin, if you want to show a slide or two, the first one I think is just sort of common sense, but let's go through it. Um, yeah, why travel matters. I probably don't need to make too big a pitch here. Most of you, if you've been other places, one of the things my wife and I have noticed, we didn't do hardly any international travel when we were raising kids and didn't have very much money. But it's really cool just to be watching a movie and saying, "Oh, I was at that mosque in Istanbul," or "I remember that site from London." You do meet obviously other people, and particularly when it comes to our own history, it's not much better. We are hoping to get about 20 students or so. The more we get, the cheaper it becomes. So that's an advantage in doing it. I will say the one little snag that I haven't quite figured out how to deal with, and this might actually be a good thing, it's possible that we will not all be going on the same plane flight. Depending on, if we have 25 people, one may have to go in the morning and one in the afternoon. But aside from that, basically the more the merrier. As I mentioned, I will have my wife with me. Robin will be with us. And so there'll be somebody there, hopefully, that can. Robin is much more organized actually than I am. So she'll be able to, and we'll have guides on the spot. The price here, I think, does not include the plane tickets. It does include, we'll have breakfast each morning at one of the motels. I believe we're going one day to Mickey Tavern. And what we've done on the last two times that we did the trip is a couple nights, if we were all in the same motel, we just order pizza, everybody chip in a couple bucks. And we'll try when we have if there's a stop to eat, we'll try to stop at a place where you have a wide choice. And, if you can only afford McDonald's, Happy Meal or whatever, there'll be something like that available rather than worrying about incurring a lot of extra expenses. So let's go on to the next slide. 3.25, this is basically a course for honor students. We got a little flexibility there. Um, Most of you, I assume, will be taking this as part of the 12 to 16 to 17 hours that you regularly take. There is tuition, obviously, if you enroll for it as a class, but if it's a class that you can use, you can certainly use it toward your honors minor and possibly toward other majors and minors as well. So you get course credit if you take it for credit. We will have 7 classes prior to going. And if you've ever heard me talk about constitutional issues, you know I get pretty wound up, so you can expect pretty full classes. I'm hoping to do at least some interactive work. Last time we had everybody do a book review, tell us about a book out loud. I think I have a little bit different notion this time that we'll either try to recreate the Second Continental Congress or the Constitutional Convention of 1787, and let each of you sort of take a part in that. And then the one advantage of the course is after the week, the only assignment that I'm anticipating that will be due is that everyone will submit a travel log with pictures and descriptions of places that we visited, experiences that we had, what we learned from there. So, the trip, right. You'd be responsible for getting there and back. And by the way, one thing you might do is check with friends, neighbors, parents, and see if somebody has some points that they can give you. My wife and I may even have some that we can share with people. If we do, we're certainly willing to do it. We will have at sites that need guides, we will have guides there. But we'll also have some time, particularly in DC. I know usually we spend a whole day at the National Mall, where you can go through all the different Smithsonian museums. Somebody in aerospace might have different interests than somebody, primarily in American history or whatever. So there'll be structure to the event. We'll do some things in common, but we'll also have days where you can wander off somewhat, at least on your own. So that'll take us to the next slide, maybe. Yep. We do need to ascertain interest and time that we can, make sure we got everything reserved, our guides and flights and everything. So there is a deposit due by November 15th, which is the last time to register. If by some reason the trip were not to make, that would obviously be refunded. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, and that, if you don't recognize it, is Monticello, home of the America's first president. I'm sorry. Whoa. Okay, Mount Vernon. I got Monticello on my mind because I went to Mr. Jefferson's university. Part of the I don't know that we went through the different places, but in Philadelphia, we're going to the Constitution Center. We're going to Independence Hall. We're going to the outline of Washington's house, which is near there. Outside Independence Hall, of course, is the exhibit of the Liberty Bell. There are other, also National Constitution Center, if I didn't mention that. When we get to DC, I'm trying to look at this small print here. We won't go in, but we will go past the White House. I'm hoping to get a private tour of the U.S. Capitol. In the past, former Representative Bart Gordon has taken us through. If not, we'll go through one of the formal tours there. We'll also have a night trip in DC where we go around and look at the different monuments. And then I believe probably as we're going from DC to Virginia, I believe that's when we stop by Mount Vernon. I could be wrong on that, but we do stop in Mount Vernon. And then the last days in Virginia, we go to the University of Virginia. We'll also go to Monticello, Jefferson's house, and Montpelier, which is James Madison's house. So we'll have a pretty full itinerary. I believe that I've been to just about all of these places and sort of scope them out for us. We've been on the last trips we were able to go to Williamsburg, and as one who went to college there, I regret very much that we're not doing that. But the other sites, hopefully, particularly in Philadelphia, will compensate for that. So I guess that's all that we need to tape right now. What do you think, Robin?
Maybe if there's any questions, it might be helpful to record those questions and answers, unless you want me to stop now.
Well, that depends on whether participant wants to have her questions recorded. What's the thought on that?
Yeah, I'm fine with my questions being recorded. I have a couple of them.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, my first question is, what airport are we arriving to? Like to plan the flight.
That's a great question. I think there's only one outside Philadelphia. Am I right?
Let me look and see if that is in the schedule that they gave
Yeah.
us.
I believe, DC, there are two, there Reagan and Washington, Baltimore airport, but I believe we're leaving for Philadelphia, so I think that one's pretty obvious. I'm not sure if we're leaving. Yeah, Robin will look through, and we do have a more extended itinerary here that'll give somebody.
And like next week, I can come and pick up that extended itinerary.
Yes, absolutely.
Or I can email it to you, whichever you prefer.
Yeah.
Don't share your email on the recording, but we'll get it later.
I don't want spam. Crazy. Okay.
It just says
the
flight
meetings,
departs for Philadelphia, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I assume we're flying out of Nashville.
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, that was crazy, but let me make that assumption. The meetings, are those just for the class or for everyone?
The class.
It's a great, well, it's only required for the class. If you might get something from them if you were to attend without taking it as a class, but you would not be required to do the class.
Okay. Will it give me more information about the trip, or it's just to learn more?
I mean, what it'll give you information about is America's founding. All the events from French and Indian War up through first couple presidential administrations.
Okay. And we're flying out of DC, right?
No.
At the end?
It may be Richmond.
Or are you going back to...
I know it won't be. Is it Richmond or DC? We've sort of alternated between them depending on which we think is going to be cheaper.
DC is in the middle of our trip. Our journey ends in Virginia.
But the question is, do we go back to DC or do we go back to Richmond? I think Richmond is about an hour away from Charlottesville. DC is about 2 hours. So
I will have to ask to confirm because it does not say in the documentation that I have. It just says transfer to the airport, private transportation included. So I have to figure out what airport that is.
Good question.
To be determined.
Yes.
Okay. And I think that was all my questions. Oh, a payment plan. After the 500, is there a payment plan or do we have to put it all in one?
And make payments, but everything has to be paid by that January deadline.
Okay.
It's on the website off the top of my head.
And I don't know if you're, or you're not a Buchanan fellow, I take it.
No. I didn't have a high enough ACT score.
Okay. No need to be embarrassed. I don't mean that
It's
you're
all
below
good.
everybody else. We have, the Buchanans have up to $5,000 that they can use for this. I think we've decided that are you an honor student? You're taking honors courses?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we decided we give at least $600 for people in honor students for honor students toward this trip. So that might help you a bit.
Talk with your honors advisor, and they are the best one to know what will be available to you.
Okay.
Right. And sometimes there's other I think the university has a little bit more actually for study abroad than they do for study away. But do check with your advisor because sometimes they will know, a source of funding that maybe doesn't come to my mind immediately.
Okay, yeah. That sounds great. I think that was all my questions.
Thank you so much for joining us. We would have been very lonely without you.
Yes, I know.